Okay, Coach, it's Thursday morning, February 23rd. The last time we did this was about 10 days ago on a Monday. We had to move it back a little bit this week. But I think if we can start by you tell me the main thing, the biggest thing that's on your mind, I'll throw in something that is on the top of my mind, and then we'll get into your top 20. But what's on the top of your mind with college basketball right now?
Well, I think what's crazy right now, Chad, is that everybody keeps talking about a top 25, and I know Joe Lenardi even came out the other day with who he thinks is going to be number one seeds with his top 16 and everything. I think this season is probably one of the most competitive college basketball seasons that's ever been around. The parity is unbelievable, and it's difficult picking 25 teams. If anything, there's a top 40 or a top 50, and it fluctuates not only from week to week, but it fluctuates from day to day, game to game. I think several of the teams that were in the top 25 on Monday in the AP poll, it's Thursday. Several of those teams have lost even Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. And so, again, college basketball is ultra competitive. And our theme that we've been talking about for the last several weeks is that home court advantage makes a difference. I would venture to say that the student crowds at college basketball games are now greater than pre-pandemic era games. I think the crowds probably are better than they were even then, but it reminds me of the late 90s and early 2000s where college students were going to a lot of games, and everybody talk about the Duke crazies, but everybody got crazies now.
Yeah.
They got crazies at Nebraska and crazies at Arizona. I mean, the student population is coming out. Watching Michigan State play last night in a very tough game after they lost of those kids being killed on campus last week, and they finally had a home game. The ISON showed up in force, and to see all the emotion that went into that game and everything else. Again, college basketball has the ability to bring people together, but the home court advantage and getting people into your arena is important. I would venture to say, several years ago, Augusta State University at the time was ranked the number one basketball school atmosphere in the state of Georgia. That's better than Georgia, Georgia Tech, Kennesaw, Mercer, Georgia Southern, so forth and so on, Georgia State. But right now, the best college atmosphere in the state of Georgia is at Kennesaw State. And that was proven in their win against Liberty a couple of weeks ago and head-to-head for number one spot in the league. And Kennesaw had the fourth largest crowd, 3,700 people. And out of that 3,700 people, Chet, I guarantee you over half of those 3,700 were students.
Yeah.
Dressed, painted up, and ready to go, and makes Kennesaw a very difficult place to play. It's going to be very interesting in the Atlantic Sun because Liberty and Kennesaw might get a chance to play again at Kennesaw if Kennesaw is able to hold on to the number one seed in that tournament, and they're going to play at the highest seed, so Liberty could end up back there. While talking about that, I just have to say this now, is that Liberty University has one of the best guards in the country. His name is Darius McGee. He's 5'9". He's from Roxborough, North Carolina. He averages about 25 a game. He got 43 against Kennesaw State. It was his fourth time this year being over 40. He's an exceptional player. Now, giving kudos to Kennesaw, there's a kid named Chris Youngblood,
yes,
a 4-star recruit that came to Kennesaw, and he's making a big difference. The kid that I want everybody to look up, if you haven't seen, make sure you do so. Go to YouTube and see. His name is Kaizi Tamanaka.
Okay.
He's a 6'2", they say. He's really like 6 foot. Guard from Japan that plays at Nebraska. Lefty, can shoot it, Chad. Yeah. Can shoot it as good as anybody. Chad Dolander would be very, very excited about this kid. But anyway, that's kind of what's on my mind, is just the nature of basketball. And let me tell you this, is that I say I'm going to give you my top 25 later on, but I will say right now there's a group of teams in the country that's not necessarily in the top 25, but nobody wants to play. Nobody wants to play Tulane, Dayton, Liberty, Kennesaw, Pittsburgh, UNC Asheville is 22-7. UC Irvine, Hofstra is 22-8, but they've won 10 in a row. Cleveland State, Iona is 20-7. They won 7 in a row. Ball State 20-8. Bradley 21-8. Big time basketball school. Bradley in Peoria, Illinois.
Yes.
Talk to your dad about
that. He's been telling me about them for about 40 years.
Bradley's been a big basketball school, but they're 21-8. They won 8 in a row. Nobody wants to play Missouri right now. They're good. Arkansas is awfully good. Sanford out of the Southern Conference is good. They're behind Furman. Nobody wants to play Furman. Furman lost the game. I knew it was going to be a tough game. They've won 2 since then, but they had to go to Citadel to play. And people who don't realize Citadel is one of the toughest places to play because when you get those cadets in there and they all in there, they get after you, you know, because they're like, there's no choice for you to go to the game if you're a student at Citadel. You will be at the game. You will cheer.
Right,
you know?
right.
And I remember years ago, we had a very good team at Clemson University. Les Robinson was the coach at Citadel, and the year that we went undefeated at home with Larry Nance and John Moose Campbell and Billy Williams and Bobby Conrad, we had a really good team, the team that we took to the Elite Eight, one game away from the Final Four. One of the games we lost that year, even though we were undefeated at Clemson, we lost at the Citadel.
Okay.
You know, and it was during the Christmas, and we went down there, Chad, and it was crazy. So I wasn't surprised with that. Baylor is playing awfully good right now, so I don't think nobody want to play those guys. So again, like I said, you know, you can go if anybody's top 25, but then there's another 15 or 20 teams that could easily be in the top 25, just depending on what day you choose.
So speaking of top 25, you know, you use the term and they're ultra competitive. The thing that's on my mind is, you know, we last did this show 2 Mondays ago, 10 days ago. I left here, I go home, turn on Creighton versus Providence, the number 19 team Creighton playing at number 20 Providence, Big East matchup. Just, in my opinion, it was the best game that I've seen since then. It was such a great game. You know, they at one point in the game, it was an overtime game that Providence won. At one time in the game, they said there had been 18 ties and 20 lead changes, and there was a 42-minute stretch in which the game got no wider than, the deficit got no wider than 5 points. So they're playing within 5 points for 42 minutes, longer than an entire regulation game. So that was that night after I left this office. And then right before I came back to your office, late last night, you had number 19 versus number 20. Number 19 Augusta University versus number 20 North Georgia at North Georgia. The top spot in the Peach Belt on the line. And the Jaguars go into North Georgia, get a victory. You talk about home court advantage. The announcers on the North Georgia broadcast were saying that they hadn't seen an atmosphere in Dahlonega like that ever. As far as the crowd support, they had 1,500 people there. You know, they had fans engaged, students engaged. You could tell they were giving it to the Jaguars in a major way. But Augusta eked out the win. Now, in that game, Coach, Augusta took a 7-3 lead early, and after that, the deficit stayed within 3 points for the next 29 minutes until the 10-minute mark of the second half. North Georgia took a 51-47 lead at that point with 10 minutes to go. Augusta scores 6 straight points to take a 2-point lead. Now, at some point, Augusta took a 5 and then a 4-point lead. Other than that, it was back under one possession for the rest of the game. So that term you use, ultra competitive, is I see what you mean.
Yeah, it's across all levels of basketball. It's just not at the Power 5 level. It's all across the country, and I think the Peach Belt Conference shows that as well. I think North Georgia and one correction, North Georgia was 19 and Augusta was 20.
Okay,
But that's still, again, whenever a ranked team come to you, and Augusta's had the target on their back all year after going to the final game, and sometimes I think fans get confused that they try to base an upcoming year based on what you did last year. It don't work that way in college basketball.
You brought up North Carolina.
Yeah, every year it's a different team, a different set of circumstances. And just because you made it to the final game one year doesn't mean you're going to make it back automatically. Just ask the University of North Carolina, who made it to the final game, lost to Kansas, preseason pick number 1 for several weeks. Now they don't even know if they're going to make it in the tournament. I mean, and so that again, got all the same players back and everything, and everybody told, well, the guard play is not very good and this, that, and the other. But at the end of the day, you can't base last year on this year. I think Augusta University, under the leadership of Coach Meachers, has done an outstanding job. I think they're 22-5 this year. Last year they ended up 33-3 overall. And if you look at last year's record around this time, it's about two game difference here or there. But again, the Peach Belt Conference is a lot more competitive than it was a year ago. You got North Georgia ranked. Young Harris has been ranked during the course of the year.
Well, in the Southeast, where, as you know, they take 8 teams to the NCAA tournament, 5 of the 8 in the Southeast are from the Peach Belt Conference.
From the Peach Belt Conference. And so, again, man, and Pembroke's, I think they're number 1 in the region right now. They're 24-2. They lost 2 games. But the competition in the Carolina Conference is nothing like the Peach Belt.
That's right.
The competition in the SAC 8 is nothing like the Peach Belt. Yeah. So, again, you got to take each year on its own merit. What I'm hoping can happen this weekend is to send the seniors out in a big way, get a good student crowd, which you normally get at homecoming.
Yeah. 3:30 p.m. Saturday, Augusta versus Clayton State in the regular season finale.
And we need that game in a big-time way. But, Chad, again, college basketball is about how difficult you can make your home court. You got to win your games at home, and if you can go 500 on the road, you're going to be okay. I think 2 of the games that Augusta lost this year at home, meaning Flagler and Aiken, would have never occurred 10 or 12 years ago because, we had a 47-game win streak at Augusta one time, and that was based on the fact that the student body came out in droves and they made Christenberry Fieldhouse a tough place to play.
No doubt about it. No doubt about it. Now, let's get into your top 25. And you mentioned North Carolina losing in the national championship game last year to Kansas. A few weeks ago, Kansas had put together a few losses in a row. It seems like they've really come on strong. I think of them, Baylor, and Texas all being in the top 10 in the AP. I look forward to seeing what you have for your top 25. Do you want to take it from the top?
Yeah, I take it from the top. And the thing is that I think Baylor's got a good team, and I think they're going to make a good run based on the fact that I think they got exceptional guard play. And anybody with good guard play is going to be able to do that. And it shows in my top 5 teams this year. I got Houston ranked number 1. They're 25-2. They won 7 in a row. Good guard play. UCLA 23-4, won 6 in a row. Good guard play. Miami, University of Miami, who's the number 1 team in the ACC. They won 7 in a row. They are my number 3. Great guard play. The Peck and Wong, unbelievable guards at the University of Miami. They can make a deep run. They can make a Final Four run. San Diego State, the Aztecs, they're 22-5. People say, why would you have them at 22-5? If Gonzaga was playing as well as they played in the years and they were 22-5 and won 5 in a row, you'd have them in the top 5. So, I'm good. Kansas, who I think is the most improved team during the month of February. I think they've really come on. They got some great weapons and very well coached. They've won 5 in a row. I got them at 5th. Arizona, I got at 6th. Marquette, Shaka Smart is doing a tremendous job. Big East, he's 7th. Purdue is 24-4. I got them at 8. I got Alabama 23-4. And Alabama had a scare last night at the University of South Carolina. Going to be interesting, Chad, to see how they handle the adversity off of the court. The young man Miller, who's some believe will be freshman of the year in the SEC, I think there's no doubt, probably be a top 3 draft pick. exceptional talent, went off against the University of South Carolina last night for 41 points, 11 rebounds, 8 assists, just went crazy. But yet, the University of Alabama is facing some real issue now because of what happened with the one kid killing the girl and giving the gun to the guy that killed the girl, and then Miller himself taking the gun to the scene. Roommate calls up, said, "Bring me my weapon." He bought him the weapon. Then he takes the weapon, gives the guy, somebody gets killed. Miller's not being charged, and probably rightfully so. But the University of Alabama right now needs to be in everybody's thoughts and prayers, because that institution is taking a major hit from a branding perspective.
No doubt.
And so I would hate to be the president, the AD at the University of Alabama right now.
Well, I'll just say, as a guy, you played, I played, to be able to be facing that kind of situation in your life and go out and score 41 points in a game, I can't even relate to that.
You can't even relate to that, and just to be able to know the kind of pressure that kid is under, and his teammates are under. But University Alabama's got a really good team. They will have a chance of playing for a national championship probably, but at the same time, we must keep things in perspective and say what's important here.
Yeah.
10th, I got Texas. I think Texas is doing a tremendous job. I don't know why in the world they keep the interim name on that guy.
Yes.
I
totally agree.
I don't know why, when it's going to happen or if it will happen.
Yeah.
But St. Mary's is holding on. I got them at 11, 24, and 5, followed by the same people in Gonzaga, 23 and 5, 12. NC State, again, NC State is playing very, very well. They beat the University of North Carolina, which is a big... People talk about the North Carolina-Duke rivalry. Being in the ACC for a lot of years, North Carolina and Duke rivalry has become a big thing in the last 10 years when Roy and Coach K and all of that. But the rivalry for years was Chapel Hill and NC State.
Right.
The Wolfpack against the Tar Heels.
Right.
So, big win.
Now, that's your first ACC team. Do you
No, my second. Miami at 3.
Oh, yeah.
I got Miami at 3, and I got NC State at 13. Yeah. And then, talking about, I got UVA. No, I don't have UVA ranked, and the reason I don't have UVA ranked, everybody talk about UVA, but UVA went to Boston College, got beat last night. And the thing that worries me about UVA, they got good point guard play, but they can't score.
Yeah.
They go to periods, can't score. And if you think back, Chad, probably should have lost against
Duke.
Yes. And kind of got the bad call at the end of the game. And so UVA fans need to be really, really concerned right now.
Yep.
Because I think they, a lot like Tennessee, who played very well early, very well mid-year, but starting to go year on down.
And before the game, we started taping, you likened Tennessee in a way to Clemson, another ACC team. How do you feel about your Tigers?
Yeah, The Tigers. I'm just looking. I don't think they should be out of the field of 68 to go into the March Madness. I think they've done enough. That was a big win at home last night they had against Syracuse.
Okay.
A tremendous win.
And did they take a loss at Louisville?
They took a loss at Louisville. Yeah. See, and that was tough. And kudos, 2 teams won Saturday who are at the bottom in the NCAA. Georgetown won, and Louisville won.
I missed the Georgetown one.
So who would have thought that we would be sitting there talking about, Duke and North Carolina are not in the final, in the top 25. And by the way, Louisville and Georgetown got 1 or 2 conference wins. You'd have never thought that. Yeah. But and then I get into some of the craziness like I always do. The Marshall Thunder and Herd have a heck of a team. They're 23-6.
Well, and this, and sorry to interrupt, but this is where fans should really dial in. This is kind of like your upset picks when it comes to the first round of the tournament.
So you got Marshall 23-6 at 14. Then I got Oral Roberts, and people say, Oral Roberts made a run a year or so ago. They were really, really good. Well, they're back good. They're 25-4. Chad, they've won 12 in a row. You don't want to catch them during the tournament time.
Yeah.
I mean, Tennessee, I got it 16, but if I had to And I did this yesterday, but after last night, it would be tough for me to keep Tennessee in the 20 because I think they're headed on the downside. Indiana, still with a good team. Texas A&M.
Indiana's going to, by the way, be going to Purdue this weekend.
Going to Purdue, big-time matchup. Oh, man. And I think the guy playing Jackson,
he's great.
He's a really good player. Him and Edey matched up against one of them. Mm-hmm. And the guard's going to be good because Purdue and Indiana both got really good guard play and can make a run. Then Texas A&M, man, I'm just telling you, they're number 2 in Southeastern Conference. And they kind of came out of anywhere.
They did.
Out of nowhere. And what people don't understand, they should understand, is that Texas A&M is a tough place to play, but also they got an exceptional coach in Buzz Williams.
Buzz Williams, yes.
Buzz won at Marquette. Buzz won at Virginia Tech, and now Buzz is winning at Texas A&M. Quietly, he wins, and all of a sudden, Alabama's lost one SEC game, but Texas A&M has only lost 2.
Yeah.
So it's going to be interesting to see as we move down there. North Texas, I got them at 19. They're 23-5. They won 8 in a row. Another person got to look out come NCAA. Florida Atlantic is 24-3. Drake University. I bet your dad talked about Drake
right.
in Iowa.
Yeah.
Des Moines. They've won 9 in a row. They're 23-6. Toledo won 12 in a row. They're 22-6. Northwestern won 5 in a row. Yeah. And nobody would have ever thought that Northwestern would be in second place in the
those back-to-back wins over Purdue and Indiana. Really
unbelievable. Yeah. And Derek Collins, a guy that everybody said was on the hot seat, going to lose his job. And then I got Charleston, 24th. They're 26-3, Chad. They've won 5 in a row. And the one this week that's new, no one's ever heard me talk about, is I got the 25th team. I got Eastern Washington. Yeah. They're 21-7, but while I have them there, they've won 17 in a row. And this time of year, if anybody win 17 games in a row, they got to have a pretty good basketball team. So as we march this thing down, Chad, I always talked about this in coaching, and I think it's evident today. You break your season down into 3 separate seasons, and there's the post-conference season, those games that you play November, December, and those are probably not conference games, but the post-conference game, and you try to do the best you can do there. And then it's the conference play, and so you try to do the best you can do in conference play, and that's what everybody's finishing up now. Then the third part of that is tournament play,
conference tournament,
NCAA, and how well can you do there? Yeah. So those are the 3 things that's kind of separate. And right now, you take teams like Vanderbilt and people like that. Vanderbilt has a heck of a basketball team, very well coached, and the guy, their center name is Liam Robbins, 7 foot from Davenport, Iowa. Chad, he can play.
Yeah. All right. Sorry. I'm not trying to be distracted, but I want to try to pick Saturday. Saturday is always a big day for college basketball. So I'm looking through the thing, and Texas at Baylor. Can't beat that, right?
Right.
Big Texas game. At Baylor. Arkansas at Alabama.
Big game.
Kansas State at Oklahoma State.
Wow.
Let's see. West Virginia at Kansas. Virginia at North Carolina. If North Carolina is going to have a last gasp, you got to see something there. Indiana at Purdue.
Yep.
St. Mary's at Gonzaga. So I think I'm locking in there now. So we got St. Mary's at Gonzaga at 10 o'clock. We've got Indiana, Purdue at 7:30. And what's that first one I said? Texas at Baylor at 2. So that's 3 heaters for you, right?
Unbelievable. And that's how it should be coming down to the end of the season, that you got a Saturday with 2 weeks to go in the season, and you got top 10, top 25 matchups within the league. And I guarantee you, whoever's on the home floor, the students are going to be rocking.
Yep.
It's going to be rocking. I watched TCU lose a heartbreaker the other night to someone on their home floor. But again, the students was in there. It was crazy, a great atmosphere. And I think there'll be a great atmosphere at every game you go to this weekend or you watch on TV. And like I said, college basketball is the most competitive that I've ever seen it in my lifetime.
Yeah.
And maybe it's just a sign of things to come. I don't know if the transfer portal has a lot to do with it, because every team now, almost every team, there's somebody who's a transfer portal kid on there. Shaka Smart was talking this week because he's kind of built his team on transfer portal guys. He's very concerned. There's a lot of coaches about coaches using the NIL as a recruiting tool. There's no question that's happening. And basically, Shaka said he backed out on some kids who their agents or something called up and said, hey, they like you, they want to come here, but this is what it's going to take for them to come. And Shaka said, sorry, we're not interested. So it's going to be very interesting to see where this thing goes, because there's no doubt Peck at the very good point guard at Miami left Kansas State because he had an $800,000 NIL deal on the table. And so, man, it's a sign of the times. But what it's done is that college basketball is at an all-time high. And we'll talk about some next week. Some of the big guys, I think, that's not, everybody talk about the guy at North Carolina, the center there,
Armando Baycock.
Baycock, and everybody talks about Edie and like that. But there's some other big guys in the country. I mean, Duke 7-foot freshman Lively, he can play. He can really play. I mean, and that's what's interesting right now. Duke and Kentucky are making a run. And the thing that
it's like North Carolina last year.
You're exactly right, Chad. You took the words out of my mouth. Is that they are making a run, and they're both, well, where's Duke and where's Kentucky? But they're making a run at this
because they've got the talent. And it's a matter of starting to play better. And that it's a little bit different with Augusta because Augusta's so experienced, and they are at the top of their conference. So they're not like a Duke or a Kentucky that's coming from behind. But, if Augusta really starts clicking, that could be a thing.
Well, what's going to be interesting is that if Augusta right now tied for third in the league, along with North Georgia and USC.
Tied for first with those two teams.
Tied for first with those two other teams. And Augusta plays Clayton this weekend, and North Georgia plays Aiken.
That's right.
Of course, I'm pulling for North Georgia because Aiken would have the tiebreak against us for number one.
Exactly.
But anyway, it just gets down to the fact that I think Augusta's best basketball is ahead of them. And so now if they move into the tournament time and play in the Peach Belt Conference tournament like they're capable of playing, and then on to the NCAA tournament. And remember last year they won the Peach Belt and they won went all the way to the final game.
So on the Southeast region. And I guess for fans, you talk about the atmosphere, going to games. For fans that are in our area, Augusta's playing Clayton State Saturday at home. USC Aiken's hosting North Georgia Saturday. Depending on the outcomes of those games, the conference tournament's either going to be in Augusta or in Aiken the next weekend. And so those three teams plus 5 more Peach Belt teams will get together for a Thursday, Friday, Sunday 8-team tournament, men's basketball only, and that should be some great basketball along the lines of what you're talking about that we're seeing nationwide.
Yep, should be really good. And then one thing about it, if Aiken does get the nod and everything, it's not bad for Augusta based on the fact that you're just going across the river, and Augusta travels well. So, again, I think college basketball. Now, the thing I'm talking about, Chet, I'm very excited about the high school basketball scene. And with Grove Town and Cross Creek and West Side and Harlem with a big 1-point win last night. Carlos Carter, Carlos, good job. But what I want to talk about, my most exciting moment in basketball last week was the Lady Wildcats upsetting Josie in the first round. And the young lady that got 38 in the 100 black men's tournament, 32 in the second half, she had 50.
She sure did.
She had 50.
Now that was again, by the way, Brantley. They beat Brantley County in the first round of the state playoffs.
Was it Brantley?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now they didn't play Josie in the region tournament.
They might have played him in the region, but Josie lost in the championship game to Thompson in the region tournament.
Okay.
And Laney ends up getting third in the region tournament, beat Butler, and so they go on the road to Brantley County, win 64-46, and Kiera Turner scores 50 points out of the 64.
And she is averaging 27 points a game,
scoring machine,
10 rebounds, and 6 or 7 assists.
Yeah.
And I don't know who's recruiting her, but I'm telling you what, you better get on her. And I laughed. I said the last Laney point guard that Augusta had was Ernesha Weidman, who took Augusta to the Elite Eight back in 2004. So it's interesting, but that was a great story, Dan. So happy for her. And then the other thing I thought was interesting this week in watching the All-Star NBA All-Star Weekend and the dunk contest, and
Mac McClung
played at Georgetown.
Yeah.
Texas Tech G League guy.
Yeah.
2-day contract with the Phillips and goes into and wins the dunk contest.
Scored I saw where he's made $100,000 playing basketball, and he made $100,000 winning the dunk contest.
Yeah.
So in 2 or 3 years, he made $100,000, makes $100,000 in one evening at the All-Star game.
And people don't realize it, that Matt's from Virginia, and he was the most decorated high school player to ever come out of Virginia, and broke all of Allen Iverson's scoring records. But he can really get up in the air, and I thought that was good for the game, and it's going to be. And Charles Barkley and others came out and said he's probably saved the slam dunk contest in the NBA. So again, fans continue to watch college basketball. Chad and I'll be back next week. We'll talk a lot about the Peach Belt Conference and the region tournament coming on after that, along with what's happening all across the country. There'll be some Division I conference tournaments in the next couple of weeks. Again, basketball as good as it's ever been.
I agree. Thanks, Coach.
Thank you, Chad.